January 3rd. Our first stream of the 2026 is here. And our first rookie mock draft, I posted a video, first round rookie mock draft out today, 30 minutes ago or so. So check that out after you watch the live show, of course. And here we are, week 18. We have a couple games today. Are your Bucks going to do it? Are they going to win? Do you care? What's going on? What's going on with your Bucks?
I don't know, man. Do I care? Yeah, I want them. I want them to win, but do I care that much? Not really.
Yeah.
They've just been totally shit in the bed, these last 4 weeks, especially. Can't win a game inside the division. Can't beat the Dolphins. So it's kind of like, I won't be terribly torn up if they don't win today and in advance. So
yeah. I almost selfishly want them not to win just because I'd love to see a young offensive mind get in there. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if they necessarily need to replace the coach because it was just a year ago when they had Liam Cohen as the offensive coordinator and Baker had 45 total touchdowns and that offense was humming, right? So it doesn't necessarily, you can find a good offensive coordinator. I just don't know if they will. I don't know. It seems like maybe the move was to hire Liam Cohen, coach of the Jags now and fire Bowles, but that's just not how teams operate. That's generally not going to happen. So, what's up, Dylan? We'll see. We'll see if we get some people in here. I know week 18, obviously fantasy's over and still maybe it's slightly early for dynasty and all that, but we're going to stay live throughout the off season and we hope you guys all join us. If you have any questions, if you're start sitting, if you're playing in any type of matchups this week for fantasy championships or for fun or whatever, DFS, you can ask us. We'll try and give you the best information that we have. It's always a little tricky with the week 18. A lot of teams are resting, especially this year. It seems a little bit more. I know the playoff spots were kind of all locked up. The non-division playoff spots have kind of been locked up for a couple weeks now. Here we are. And we're kind of just reflecting on the season that was kind of a crazy season. Just overall thoughts on the season. I know you had a pretty successful season in terms of fantasy, but what are your kind of overall thoughts on this season and any lessons learned that you want to talk about or any general ideas now?
Overall it was decently successful. It was definitely a wild ride. That's for sure. We just saw some crazy emergences from some players that we didn't really we were kind of still holding out hope for. Man, I think we'll get to them individually, but I'm just kind of thinking about the quarterbacks. Lots of injuries, obviously, a lot of moving pieces there. Does Kyler still have a job? Is Trevor Lawrence for real? Drake May's awesome. The Patriots are, this year's version of the Texans from 2 years ago, I think, with Stroud as a rookie. I know May wasn't a rookie, but yeah, just definitely a lot to unpack there for sure. Is Justin Jefferson not going to be good, into next year with McCarthy? Is that even the way the Vikings go? It's all very quarterback centric for sure, but there's a lot to unpack.
Yeah, there is a lot. There's a grouping of quarterbacks that you're not sure. We'll definitely be talking about them and their dynasty value over the offseason and stuff. But Kyler, you mentioned it a little bit. Kyler and Tua are two of them that come to mind. What do we do with those pieces in dynasty? It's going to be interesting to talk about those two players in particular, as well as like other guys like Bryce Young and McCarthy and Penix and stuff. Like what you're doing with those guys and stuff. So, yeah, it was a weird year. And just kind of looking at the overall standings here. I mean, I was going to talk fantasy MVP. I think it's pretty clearly CMC, right? It's like pretty hard to not have CMC as in PPR as the fantasy MVP. I mean, he was 3 points almost, or 2.5. About 2.5 points better per game than Bijan, who was RB2 this year. McCaffrey once again over 25 points per game. Puka, he was over 2 points better than Puka, 2 points better than Puka. Is there any argument for anyone else? Trey McBride maybe. Thoughts on like who you would declare as like the fantasy MVP this year?
I feel like we do have to go with CMC, honestly. Like we definitely kind of shouted his name from the rooftop a little bit. Like he moved up into the end of that first round when it really came down to draft time, and it was kind of like, well, he's one of those guys. Like everyone kind of had their wrinkles a little bit, and he was kind of the guy where it's like, well, if he stays healthy, like how is he not going to be good, And honestly, even through the first few weeks, we were really worried about his workload. It's like, can he hold up to this?
Mm-hmm.
And he did. Like the Niners, they struggled through the Brock Purdy injuries, I guess, through most of the actual the first half of the NFL season, I guess, and. Yeah. They were able to kind of pull it out, and we just saw McCaffrey just be awesome. It could have gone a lot different. That's for sure.
Yeah, I do think there is an argument. You could argue Puka or Trey McBride in the sense that this year, to me, there was 5 elite running backs, and by elite I mean they averaged over 20 PPR points per game and played they played the entire season. CMC, Bijan, Jonathan Taylor, Gibbs, and Achane all averaged over 20 points per game. I think that's pretty rare. Last year we had 3 running backs over 20 points per game. 2 years ago, 2023, we had 2. 2022 we had 2. To have 5 is a little rare. So you could, maybe you didn't have CMC, but if you had one of those 5 guys, very good chance you were in the fantasy championship or, in contention. Whereas wide receivers this year, it was Puka over 20, over 23.3 points per game, only missed 1 game this year. And then JSN, who had 21.6. So only 2 receivers over 20 points. And so if you had Puka or JSN, you kind of had a pretty big advantage over everyone else. And, if you had both of them, you smashed. And then McBride, even more extreme, to me, he was the only elite tight end this year who played basically the entire year. Tight ends, I think over 15 points is where you start getting into the elite category for PPR. Kittle did average over 15, but he also missed 5 games. So that obviously affected you. Brock Bowers, 14.7, also missed 5 games, 6 games if you count week 18. Tucker Kraft, 14.7, missed the entire second half of the season. So, it was kind of McBride and no one else. You had such an advantage. And even McBride, over 4.5 points more than Kittle per game, which is insane, right? So I think there is an argument, Dylan, we will get to your comments here in just a second, but Dylan mentions JSN. To me, it's hard to choose JSN over Puka. I guess you could take into account where you drafted them. Puka was he was a first-round pick. Maybe there was some concerns there. I do have the ADP, and this ADP was taken from it was the last week of the season. It was August before the season started, August 25th to the 3rd or something, roughly that range. Puka was 111. I know there were some concerns with Stafford and his back injuries and stuff. But yeah, you can make the argument like, hey, JSN was here. He finished as the 310, so he was a third or fourth round pick, and you got elite production there. So yeah, there's some good options for sure. I mean, even the quarterback position, you could talk about like a Drake May or something, but I definitely think it's like CMC, Puka, JSN, McBride. Like those are the guys I think I would throw in there.
Yeah, you can't really argue against McBride too hard. Like we're going to be talking about him during a mock, I'm sure. Like he's basically right up there where we were drafting. Like I remember like having the conversation with you and Dad and stuff, and about is Kelsey? This is 5 years ago or so. Like, is Kelsey a first round pick? Like you get that positional advantage playing a guy like Kelsey / McBride this season in your tight end position. Like how powerful that is. I do think Kittle and Bowers could have been definitely as good, but the fact of the matter was they just weren't. I think those guys are going to be definitely, they might be the value a little bit. Like I know McBride was going, let's see, where was he in that ADP you were talking about? Like I know he was going after Bowers for sure, and I know we were pretty high on taking McBride like after Bowers because you get like the one extra round worth of value.
Yeah. McBride finished at the 311.
Okay. Yeah.
Bowers at the 303. So
I felt like Bowers was actually pushed up pretty close to like the middle of the second round in a lot of the drafts that we did.
Mm-hmm.
So it was kind of like, well, McBride could easily be just as good as him and get him a round later essentially. So yeah, good stuff.
Yeah, no, we were definitely on that. We were on CMC. We had some good calls, some bad calls. Like
definitely
like it's
some
gonna
bad
be
calls.
Yeah, I mean it's just gonna happen. But yeah, it did feel like Bowers was, I know people were talking about him as like a mid-second round pick. I think on average people, were still putting him closer in the third round. So, which is what ADP is saying here. So, let's see. Dylan's talking about Dynasty here. He's currently rebuilding for 27. So he's punting 26, it sounds like. Just trying to figure out how to sell Waddle, Nico, Zay, DK, and Warren for picks. My whole rebuild got injured, and my Dynasty is in heavy rebuild. This is your team here, Dylan? You had Neighbors, Daniels, Tyreek, Aaron Jones all got injured nearly same week, so went directly to Dynasty format. Are you saying like you have Neighbors, Daniels, Nico, Waddle, Zay, Metcalf? Like to me that doesn't feel like a rebuild team. I don't know if this is the same team you're talking, or if you're talking about redraft here, like your redraft or something. But you have 327 firsts, but one other guy has 4. I have like 6 seconds and 5 thirds. Yeah, I mean the 27 class is looking good to invest in for sure. So even those seconds and thirds are going to be valuable in my opinion in the 27 class. I have just Waddle, Nico. Okay, so these are your pieces. Who are your quarterbacks? Where's the Daniels side of things? Who are your quarterbacks on this team? And is it super flex, and how many starters? You took over someone's team.
Yeah, I think you've got some decent pieces there that are young, and I mean I'd be looking to capitalize on hopefully what Waddle does this upcoming season, maybe without Tyreek. He's definitely a candidate like you're looking to sell also, Tyreek Hill, but people are just going to be nervous. We don't even know if he's ever going to play football again. So we're just going to have to wait and see there. But, just stand pat, I guess, and try and see where some of these guys end up. What do you think about DK and Jaylen Warren in this upcoming season? Like, I think they can be better than they were. I don't think Kenneth Gainwell is going to be as good as he was towards the end of this season on the Steelers. So maybe Warren's value can increase a little bit there. But man, it's
I'm not trading DK or Warren only because, I don't think you can sell DK right now. He's a 28-year-old wide receiver who a lot of people thought was going to smash this year and didn't. And he kind of did what he's been doing basically since his breakout year, his sophomore year. I'm thinking college, his second year in the league, where he was like wide receiver 1 in Dynasty during the middle of the 2020 season. But he's kind of just been a low-end wide receiver 2 since that point, every single year in terms of points per game. So I'm probably just keeping those 2 because I don't think you can get appropriate value for them. I'll toss around trading Waddle, Nico, and Zay though. Like if you are in a full rebuild here, I think Nico is an interesting one to kind of discuss in the offseason of do we still going into this year? I feel like Nico was kind of one of those potential elite receivers that you didn't have to pay the elite price for, but he didn't really have an elite season this year. He didn't have an elite season this year. He had a fine season, but it wasn't elite, right? So I think he's an interesting one to talk about. If people still view him as a potential elite guy, I would toss around the idea of trading him. Yeah, Waddle, it's going to be tough. I think there's just a lot of uncertainty, who's the coach, who's the quarterback. So these guys, they feel like holds. I think Nico and Zay are probably the ones where you can still get what I would consider appropriate value for. Whereas I don't know if you can get that for Waddle, DK, and Warren right now. Maybe Warren. Maybe you can for Warren. Definitely not for DK, and probably not for Waddle either.
Yeah.
Right now.
It's so tough selling running backs in the off season, which means it's kind of a good time to buy them. I know it can be a little risky. We never really like buying running backs before the draft or anything like that. So meaning usually it's not a great time to sell them because people are going to be like, oh, well, who's going to go there and stuff. But you know more about this rookie class than I do. We just had a huge influx of rookie running backs. Saw some flashes from some of them. So, I mean, those guys could be, they could definitely gain value pretty quick in season. So definitely not who I want to sell at this moment.
Yeah. Yeah, this rookie running back class isn't great. There's an elite prospect, a couple other good ones, and then I don't know if it goes really deeper right now than 3 or 4 guys. So, so it's a 12-team start. Yeah, you don't have quarterbacks. Assuming this is super flex, that's your first thing you need to figure out here. Kyler and Quinn Ewers are not the answer. I mean, I would be obviously holding both those guys. I wouldn't trade Kyler because people aren't going to trade for him. So it's not super flex. Okay. You still need a quarterback, but it's not as dire of a need. So
he mentions Daniels earlier, didn't he?
I think that's a different team, this one here. I think this is a different team.
Okay.
Yeah, because he doesn't mention it. He doesn't mention neighbors on this team and stuff. That was a redraft. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, what pick would I take for the major 5? Warren, Nico, Zay, and if you did so, what would you take for Waddle and DK? Yeah, I need to make a kind of update my rankings just to kind of give proper advice here. and just kind of reflect on the year a little bit. That's the homework over the next week is, dynasty rankings / comparing them to rookie picks. If you're talking about for 26, like guys like, Nico, again, I still kind of view him as a potential elite wide receiver, or just on the cusp of that. So like he's more than a first round pick for me, unless it's like a top 3 pick, top 4, maybe top 5. Waddle, I would be okay taking a random first for a rebuilding team for Waddle. I think you could potentially get more, but I don't think later on in the future, I don't think you can get that now. You've been offered about 2 firsts for Nico and 2 seconds for Warren. I would definitely think about all those there. 2 firsts for Nico, I would be okay with. 2 seconds for Warren, I would be okay with. This is a start. What, 10? We don't know. How many starters do you have also, Dylan? Because that's pretty important as well. All those trades, I would take a 27 first for DK. All those trades I would be open to doing for sure. Again, let me know how many starters you have here. Start 10. So right in the middle there.
Yeah. I think it sounds like you're getting offered fair value, for sure. If you're going into rebuild, like I would definitely consider basically all of these, like trying to get younger for sure, with Waddle and DK. Zay, not necessarily old, that's for sure. So you're just kind of like trying to reset that clock a little bit for a guy that you're definitely like, you're considering him. What did he say? Start 10, 12 team.
Yeah, 12 team start 10.
Yeah. Zay is probably a flex on any given week. So
yeah. I think I'd consider all those trades, a high 26 first. So if you're thinking about, if you're saying high, then you're saying top 5. Basically, you're going to be able to replace him with potentially definitely a first round wide receiver in this upcoming draft, and maybe a top 10 pick at the wide receiver spot. So yeah, I would definitely think about all those. We're going to move on a little bit, Dylan. We'll keep answering your questions, but we're going to get to the kind of the rest of the things we have. I know you're in our Discord. We are offering, we do team reviews as well. It is for a cost. But we will do kind of break down your team, make you a video either live on stream or a pre-recorded video. And we can kind of really break down your team, look at your league, kind of moves you should make, and all that. So 104 for Watto, I would do. I would be okay with that because you're resetting with resetting here with Tyson or so the top 3 right now seems to be Mendoza, Love, Jeremiah Love, and then if Dante Moore comes out, he will be in there. Jordan Tyson will be in there. Carnell Tate will be in there. Makai Lemon. So there's kind of 6 guys there like that. I think there's a tier right now. It's going to change, but from the 103 to the 106. So I would definitely think about that. I'll kind of announce it in the Discord there, Dylan, and tell you the price and all that in the Discord there. So, but it's pretty affordable. So yeah, but keep the questions coming, Dylan. We can definitely talk on that. But yeah, we can give you better answers knowing the full context of your league as well, and the teams and the players that and stuff like that are on other teams. Biggest bust. They're looking at kind of the first 4 rounds here. We can go round by round if you want, but who would you say is the biggest bust of the first round? By the way, the first round ended. The ADP was Chase, Bijan, Saquon, just Jettas, Lamb, Gibbs, Neighbors, CMC, Nico Collins, Amon-Ra, Puka, and Derrick Henry. I think there's a pretty clear one, right?
Justin Jefferson.
Yeah, it has to be. I mean, you could obviously take like injury into consideration with Neighbors, right? Saquon was a pretty big disappointment, but I think it's Justin Jefferson.
Yeah, it's got to be. We didn't think it could get definitely not as bad as what it ended up being, and it seems like there's one every year, man, like where it's like this guy is too good to ever not start him, and you keep starting him. So in that sense, Malik was almost like he was better because or Neighbors, I guess we don't really call him Malik, but but where it's like you weren't starting him for most of the season because he was hurt, and Justin Jefferson continued to hurt your team. We didn't think that McCarthy would be worse than what Sam Darnold could be, like in that offense. Like we just believed in the offense a little too much, I think.
Yeah, I did bring that up when talking to McCarthy with dynasty value of just like some of his value is because of what Sam Darnold and like Cousins did in that offense, basically saying like that it shouldn't be that way. But I mean, we didn't think it was going to be that bad. I mean, just to give you the numbers here, Justin Jefferson finished on a per game basis as the wide receiver 35, wide receiver 35 on a per game basis. Total points, wide receiver 26. So he was barely a wide receiver 3 in a points per game basis, which is crazy to imagine and think that that's what Justin Jefferson was and became. So I will say Neighbors, he played in 5 games. 3 of them you were upset. One of them you were, he barely got you a good, he got you. So he had 4 points, 3.3 and 4. I know one of the last game, obviously he got hurt, but 3 of the 5 you started him, you were very disappointed. One of them was a 12.1 point, and then he had a huge game. So like, he also was pretty bad to start the year, but obviously Justin Jefferson, you were kind of starting most of the year. Saquon, you can make the argument for Saquon as well, but he finishes RB14 in points per game, RB14 in total points. So, if we look from there into the fantasy playoffs, because you always have to think like, all right, their playoff production doesn't matter if I don't make the playoffs, right? He was still RB12 in points per game, so he was a disappointment for sure, but I don't think he was maybe as bad of a disappointment as it felt, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
So everyone else, I mean, obviously, Chase Bijan, awesome. Lamb was obviously a disappointment, but I think he was one of those as well where, let's see, where did Lamb finish? Wide receiver 9 in points per game. I didn't think it was that high. Wide receiver 22 in total points. He did have, miss some time and stuff like that. And that includes, by the way, the points per game, wide receiver 9, that includes a goose egg. I don't know if he didn't play that game or if he got hurt right away. But week 3 includes a goose egg. So he was actually pretty good when he played. Sorry. That's in, I was looking at just to week 14 there.
Lamb did get hurt in week 13, week 3, only 10% of the snaps. So that was where he first got hurt.
Yeah. Still wide receiver 10. So yeah, Lamb was still pretty good. Best time to get into startups. I agree. I mentioned this in the buy low, sell high videos of like, to me, the easiest time, / like most interesting time to trade is like end of regular season, and then all the way to pre-free agency. Because I feel like people are still thinking about 2025. Whereas if you start thinking a little bit forward, and ahead, you can take advantage of values and stuff like that. So Kevin, I always mix up the what.
Just the way you said that, it was like Home Alone kind of a thing.
I thought that too. Remind me, Kevin, like, because we have Discord, YouTube, and sleeper names. You're not in one of our listener leagues, are you? Our Dynasty listener leagues. If you're not, you should. We're going to try and get a couple more started this off season, so you should definitely join in one of those. I know you're in the Discord, yeah, sleepers ADP isn't adjusted as well. Yeah, people, you can. Yeah, people are going to. They're going to have a sour taste in their mouth due to who they had last year. And I was watching a dynasty startup on another channel, and there was some crazy good value. I mean, like Mahomes was going in the 3rd round. Justin Jefferson was like
wow.
Justin Jefferson went like 207 or 8, and stuff like that. So like that's kind of crazy in my opinion. So we're gonna have to do a dynasty startup mock draft. That's gonna probably be our next live stream, dynasty startup mock draft, and kind of break that down. So where does Genty go in Superflex?
He's definitely going after Bijan and Gibbs.
Yeah. Definitely going after those two guys. I don't think he's really fallen too far. Does he go behind Achane at this point?
Probably. I mean, probably should too, like just given, Achane's still super young and even on, a quote unquote, like, well, I'll just call him a bad offense, I guess. Like not necessarily a terrible offense, like still really good, like amazing, honestly.
Yeah, I'm putting together the numbers with like rookies and just to kind of get a better, clear picture. Like I know Genty was not great, but like I'm gonna reckon that his rookie season wasn't that far off from like Bijan's rookie season. And I'm gonna look all that up. I'm looking beyond just like the pure numbers. I know one thing that hurt Genty a lot was his offensive line. He had 1.5 yards before contact on average, which is not great. So he's, basically getting a yard down the field and then, getting contacted. You look at a guy like Omarion Hampton, 2.7, Travion Henderson, 3 yards. And it doesn't seem like it matters, but like it does when you're talking 200, 300 carries, like a yard more before getting touched. 2 yards, yard and a half. That's a huge difference. So stuff like that. He also didn't look great though. Like his yards after contact weren't great. He wasn't breaking a whole lot of tackles. He faced one of the least amount of 8 defenders in the box. Only 15%, 15.5% of the time they had 8 defenders in the box, which surprised me a little bit. You look at a guy like Quinshawn, he had 45% of the time, 8 defenders in the box. So I don't think he goes too far though from where he was going, which was, maybe instead of early second-ish round, he's probably going closer to the late end of the second round. So, but this team also could bring in Fernando Mendoza, Heisman winner. I know Raiders fans are they are salivating over, Mendoza. I hope they screw it up, man. I hope they beat the Chiefs. I think I picked them to beat the Chiefs just because I hope they screw it up, man. And then the Giants lose. They could still get Mendoza because the Giants don't need a quarterback. But yeah, Kevin, I know you're in the Discord. Yeah, we'll set you up. We're gonna try to get. I think we're gonna have enough to get at least 1, maybe 2 more. So I kind of want to do like a bigger money league one. That'll be harder to fill for sure. But I'm gonna give up a lot of my like other teams potentially and kind of focus on these listener league ones. You're in one now, and you got Henderson at the 410 yesterday. I thought that was a good deal. Yeah, I need to make the rookies, or not rookie rankings, dynasty rankings, and we need to do some rookie startup mock drafts just to kind of get a feel for where everyone's gone. You know who I think is a sell high? Drake May.
Oh yeah.
And I love Drake May. I was very adamant of like Drake May. I think going into the season was like QB 7, 8, 9 in that range, and I said I'm valuing Drake May as a top 5 guy. And now he's like up there. I think he's like going back and forth with Allen as QB1. I saw him go at the 101 in that dynasty startup Superflex yesterday. All I'll say is Justin Herbert. That's the only name I'll throw out there. Is look at what Justin Herbert was after his second year. And I would pump the brakes a little bit on Drake May, being the QB1 in Dynasty. I think he's awesome. I think he's amazing. But go look at Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert threw for 5,040, basically his second year, and he was like QB1 ish. He was up there, QB top 3 quarterback, and it changes. It changes a lot. So yeah, we use Sleeper, Dylan. We use a website called LeagueSafe. You may have heard of it, but it's just a way to like have the money in a place. Like I don't want to be holding on to thousands of dollars from people and stuff. And so it's a way to kind of have the money all in one spot so people feel safe. And there's like a fee that's involved with it. But I will say in our dynasty leagues, you do need to pay for 2 years. And then, so for example, this year you'll have to pay for obviously the 26 year and the 27 year by the time the season starts. Just to, just in case people orphan their teams, we can give it to someone. We will have a couple orphans that we'll need to fill up. So yeah, Dylan, we'll talk for sure. I know you're in Discord, so we'll definitely be talking. I'll get some announcements on there. Starting to think to sell high on Puka. Is he at the range where he's the most to get, or is this the most you get? What do you think about selling high on Puka?
I mean, it's always kind of easy to say like guys like Drake May or Puka, to like sell them because they're at the top, right? Like there's nowhere else to go for them.
Yeah.
When it comes to guys like that, we talk a lot about down tiering, or tiering down, I guess, is the better way to say that.
Yeah,
so it all just depends on like what you can get for them. Like I'm kind of looking through here, the Keep Trade Cut kind of like rankings, and these are going to change a lot over the course of the next 2 months. Like we'll start seeing like the picks being kind of factored in, and yeah, it's hard to get away from a guy like Drake May or Puka, but if you're just going from a guy like Puka down to someone who's had a bad year and we don't know what the future looks like Justin Jefferson, like what are you getting in return?
I'm doing that trade. Like,
yeah,
if I'm getting anything significant in return, easy a first, probably even a second round pick. Like I'd probably just do it. Another starter involved. Like, yeah, absolutely. Down tiering down. I don't know which one is the right one to say now, but they both sound good. That's to me that it's kind of the easiest and best way to make trades because you're still getting someone you like plus something else. Man, Puka's awesome. He's so good. Like it's crazy how good he is. There is uncertainty though with Stafford. So, is this Stafford's last year? It's possible.
Yeah, and will he be good without Stafford? Like he'll still be good, but will he be elite like how he has been?
Yeah.
I mean, see Justin Jefferson kind of a thing, right? Like it's always a risk, that's for sure. But I don't know, with a player like him, you're just going to roll with the punches, hopefully.
What's nice with Puka is we've also seen him be basically wide receiver 1 while having another receiver that's very, very productive. Cooper Kupp last year, I know he ended poorly. Look at go back to Fantasy Pros, look at weeks 1 through 14 for Cooper Kupp. He was a top 10 receiver, top 5 receiver, I think, or 7 or so in points per game. Devontae Adams this year, very, very productive. Like we've seen Puka excel. Now, is that lend a little bit more towards Stafford? Like, does that like does that make you worry even more with Stafford gone? Maybe, but I also trust McVay to be able to find someone. I mean, this team, the Rams, they have a top 10 pick because the 12th overall pick because they have the Falcons pick. So, they could they make a move for a quarterback, a Dante Moore or something to replace Stafford. So I think it's always, it's always important to think about, selling high on these guys, but yeah, it's all about down tiering for me. Like if you're just straight up selling him, like, I mean, what do you need? 3 first-round picks? And are you still a little bit hesitant there?
Yeah, I mean, it's really hard. Excuse me. Especially in like, if we're talking about startups, like you never know where your team's going to be. Like I think it's a little bit easier to say, yeah, I'm selling them for 3 firsts if I'm in a rebuilding team. Throwing a few, like especially if a couple of those are in 27, like that. It's a long ways out, but it'll be here before you know it. I mean, I got offered, I think it was for in one of our startups, like for Josh Allen, I got offered 3 firsts and Russell Wilson or something like that. It might have been closer to 4 firsts in equivalent value. I can't quite remember. And I was just like, I don't want to do that. Like, just because it's like, I don't even know how good my team is yet. And I think that was in the league. I ended up being second, or I finished second. I think that was in Poseidon. So it all like there's so much context that goes into those kinds of things, where it's like, like what's that?
How deep the starting rosters are too. Like 3 first-round picks in a 12-team start 12 is way more valuable than 3 first-round picks in a 12-team start 8. Like because you're starting. Just look at the caliber of players. Like who were you starting in Poseidon in the championship game? Like was there anyone where it's just like, am I really starting this guy? Like I know you had a pretty good team, but
let's see. Michael Pittman still, Cooper Kupp.
Yeah, exactly. And you were in the championship and had a legit chance of winning the championship. And you were starting Gesicki and Cooper Kupp. So like, Puka versus getting Olave and I don't know. I'm trying to think of a couple other like mid-tier guys. Like I don't know, but diversifying those starting assets into multiple players is generally the way to go. But yeah, it is hard. I mean, Zeus, Cass traded for Bijan and Zeus to begin the year, and I think he traded away 3 first-round picks for him, maybe even a little bit more. So those are the premiums there. But yeah, down tiering I think is the way to go. P. Seeley, it is Seeley. Is we always never know how to say your name, Paul, because it's like P. Seeley and Sleeper. We're like, is it just Seeley? Is the P silent? Happy happy New Year to you as well. When is the appropriate time to stop wishing Happy New Year? By the way, now it's still fine, obviously, but is there a certain time when it's like, really, you're still saying Happy New Year?
I don't know. It depends on when you first see people, I guess. Like I go back to work on Monday, which will be the 5th. So I'm sure some people are going to say Happy New Year to me. And I'm not going to be like, get the fuck out of here. Like,
yeah.
Especially I haven't talked to them since.
But it's like, let's say you haven't seen someone, you see them on January 20th. Like I wouldn't say Happy New Year.
Yeah.
I'd say, yeah, the 7th, I think like about a week after the New Year, I think is roughly good. Maybe stretch it out to the 10th. But
I was going to say a lot of my coworkers will be back on the 12th. So I guess I'll let you know like how many of them say Happy New Year.
Yeah.
Some of them I might not see until Tuesday or Thursday that week. I work at a college, so not everyone teaches right away, necessarily Monday morning of the 12th. So I'll see I'll let you know what the latest Happy New Year is.
Yeah, yeah. Please keep us updated. And Paul says this weekend, which yeah, roughly this weekend to like I'd say end of next week is about as far as I would go there. Talking about this, I traded 426 first for Nico. Eesh, that's tough.
Yeah.
That's tough. Again, shallower leagues, a 12 team start 10, you don't want to do that, but like you can get away. Like I would think about 4 first for a guy like Puka or Bijan in like a very shallow league. But yeah, for Nico is a little bit tough. But who knows? Who knows? There is worries about this. There is. It'd be very telling what the Jags do. Um, Man, I'm just seeing what the 4 first were too. That's tough. That is
Man.
tough. Yeah. Um. Yeah. There is worries about Travis Hunter. Very telling what they do. With their receiver core. I mean, obviously they still have BTJ. Jacoby Myers, I believe, is under contract. He is. Oh, he signed an extension with the Jags. When did that happen?
I thought it happened when they traded for him.
It says in December.
Oh. Well, that's pretty telling right there.
Yeah. It is a little bit. Yeah, we'll get into that for sure. I hope Travis turns out. I had a choice of him or JSN for Chuba. Yeah. It sounds like you went with Travis instead of JSN. That's tough. That is tough. He's either a buy or a hold for me, Paul. I don't want to sell him. Man, he's all the way down at wide receiver 19. I mean, this was a guy that was like getting into the tier of Chase and Neighbors and stuff like he was just behind these guys heading into the year. London. So I think he's a buy / hold if you have him. I don't think he's a sell at this point.
Yeah, we're gonna have to get into specifics in the off season because everything's still kind of shuffling around. Like you got older guys that you definitely would rather have for this next year, like AJ Brown below him. So we'll have to get into that when we have a little more like context, I guess.
Yeah. And we're going to be, live streaming and talking about these guys, making videos on these guys and stuff. Yeah, you can down tier from Nico to BTJ in another piece. Depends what that other piece is for sure. BTJ at the price he is a buy. Yeah, I tend to agree. But if you have him, he's a hold, right? So buy / hold. Yeah, any other big busts? I mean, second round, how it finished this year was Genty, Achane, Drake London, BTJ, Jacobs, Bucky, AJ Brown, Chase Brown, JT, Higgins, Lamar, and Josh Allen. I mean, there's a couple obvious ones. BTJ being maybe the biggest, right? Like bust.
Yeah, for sure. He's definitely the obvious one. Chase Brown killed you for what, half a season?
Yeah. I remember looking back, he wasn't as bad. Looking at his first 4 weeks or so, it wasn't as bad as I thought, but
it was definitely he was hurting you in the sense that he was your RB1, most likely, unless you did take a guy like McCaffrey and we talked a lot about him, Chase Brown, like going into the year where it's like a little cautious, but we just thought the Bengals had the perfect formula, right? Like we're going to be good offense or great offense, with bad defense.
Yeah. I know people will say like Genty, but he finishes the RB13 this year, both in per game RB16, in total points RB13. So
sorry, I don't know if you can hear my cat. I'm going to let her in real quick. Can you hear her? Is that picking up?
Yeah. But it's fine. Bucky was a pretty big disappointment. A lot of it due to injury, though. AJ Brown, there's a lot of disappointments in the second round. Like Genty, London, BTJ. So Genty, London, BTJ, Bucky, AJ Brown, Lamar. That's 6 of the 12 picks in the second round. In my opinion, that were pretty big disappointments, either due to injury or just sucking. So, yeah, that was a tough second round here. Third round was McConkey, Kyron, Bowers, Adams, Tyreek, Kamara, Evans, Burrow, Jaden Daniels, JSN, Trey McBride, and Cook. I mean, the stars of this are JSN and Cook. Like, holy crap. If you got those guys, you were in the third round, fourth round, maybe even, you were, through the roof.
Yeah, super stoked. Did I unmute myself? I did.
You did, yeah. Any obvious bust here? Like, I try to avoid just pure injury as saying bust. Like, is it Kamara?
I'd say it's Lad, for taking injury out of it.
Yeah. Keep talking.
And yeah, we were super unsure about Lad. I actually thought he went a little bit higher. Well, I think we got him at 301 here, so not too much higher, but he was definitely in that next group of receivers where we're like, I just don't necessarily see it. All right, Kitty. I think she's hungry.
Did I disconnect?
No. What's that?
You just froze for a second. I wasn't sure if it was me or not.
Sorry. Yeah. No. Yeah, I think Lad was the biggest. He was tough, man. And I think we were kind of down on him. We didn't see QJ coming in, Mr. Huge. And doing what he did at the beginning of the year, but also, it was a little worrisome with Keenan Allen coming back, old reliable for Herbert. So I don't think we definitely didn't think it was going to be as bad as it turned out to be for Lad.
I think the big concern with Lad was also I thought this team was going to run the hell out of the ball, and it didn't play out that way. But he still wasn't very good. Lad McConkey this year, he was a wide receiver 27 in points per game, wide receiver 27 overall. Played every game, didn't really have a big blow-up game, couple games just over 20 points. Looks like 3 games over 20 points. So, yeah, it was tough for McConkey, and we were telling people to avoid him at that 2-3 turn for sure. There was a lot of guys, Kyron was one that we were talking a lot about that we really, really liked. Tyreek was a guy we were talking a lot. Obviously, if you drafted Tyreek, you it sucked because he got hurt. But yeah, there was a tough one. Fourth round feels a lot tougher too. Terry McLaurin, Jalen Hurts, Metcalf, Marvin Harrison, James Conner, Chuba Hubbard, Omarion Hampton, Garrett Wilson, George Kittle, DJ Moore, Devontae Smith, and Kenneth Walker. That almost entire fourth round screwed you due to injury or just McLaurin injured and most of the year. Hurts was fine. I don't know exactly where he finished, but maybe not what you expected. Metcalf was a disappointment. Still finishes like a wide receiver 2, but just disappointing. Marvin Harrison Jr., disappointment. James Conner hurt. Chuba, disappointment. Omarion missed a lot of time. Garrett Wilson started off hot and then didn't come back. Kittle missed 5 games. DJ Moore sucked. Devontae Smith sucked. Kenneth Walker sucked. All these guys were bad, unfortunately.
Yeah, I know. Just looking back on it, it's definitely man, oh man. I actually thought, okay, with JSN at 310, I was I thought he got pushed a little bit further down. I felt like he was a fourth round guy. A lot of question marks, where it's is Sam Darnold actually the dude that we just saw in Minnesota?
And they brought in Kupp, and we were worried about JSN's slot percentage going down.
Yeah. It was just kind of crazy. But yeah, just basically the entire fourth round that you just laid out there. Who was best? Metcalf, I guess.
Kittle maybe just survived 5 weeks without him, but he was still tight end 2 in points per game.
Yeah. Hopefully you picked up Tonjes
Yeah.
and rode him while Kittle was out. But I mean, yeah. It's funny because like the 4th round, I feel like so Hurts was what QB 4, 5 at this point. He was behind Lamar, Josh Allen, Burrow, and Daniels. So, I mean, honestly, that was probably about as neutral of a pick as you could get, like given this ADP, because he finished as QB 8.
Yeah, for sure. And then, usually the argument is like, well, I don't want QB8 in round 4 because you can get another stud, but there was no other studs that were taken in that round. So, yeah, it kind of was a neutral pick.
Yeah, definitely like in the context of this, but yeah, in the context of this ADP, but yeah, for sure. I mean, look at how all the guys that finished higher than him, like Trevor Lawrence, you wouldn't have guessed, like you would have seen it a little bit for Dak, and Stafford, I guess, like those guys were around what 10 or later.
Stafford
like
wasn't drafted.
Yeah, I was gonna say Stafford probably wasn't even drafted. Yeah, and Dak was probably going in about round 10, maybe 8. But yeah, wait on those quarterbacks and grab a couple of them.
Yeah, Stafford wasn't even drafted, man. That's crazy. Gino was drafted over Stafford, Bryce, Tua.
You gotta remember he was hurt in the offseason too. And then he went into that like Superman healing chamber thing.
Yeah.
It's like, what the fuck? Let's get one of those.
Seriously. Best value pick. I threw out a couple of names here. These are guys that are all drafted on average after pick of 100. Drake May, Trevor Lawrence, sort of the quarterbacks. ETN is crazy. Javonte, crazy. Those 2 guys after pick 100. The wide receivers, there wasn't really much. Like Huge might have been the best. And I don't even know if he was like drafted on average for most drafts. Tucker Kraft, Kyle Pitts, Goddard, pretty good tight ends you can get there after pick 100. To me, it's either one of the quarterbacks or, quarterbacks or wide receiver, running backs here. I remember talking about ETN and just like, man, are we like totally overlooking ETN here? Which we absolutely did. I kind of want to vote for him or Javonte. They both finished basically back to back in rankings in PPR. Javonte was about half a point per game worse than ETN, but I feel like Javonte was a little bit more consistent. I don't know, maybe not.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be one of those 2 guys, right? Just given like where you got them. Like you look at all the other guys that finished in front of them, and even like right around them, kind of, just drafted, 5 rounds earlier, essentially, or more. It was just kind of like they were definitely value picks in the sense where it's like, well, they could just be the lead in their backfield and pretty handedly too. Like we didn't know what the Cowboys backfield was going to look like, but they didn't really have a whole lot outside of a little bit of rookie hype kind of a thing. And, Bashal Tutin for ETN, it was kind of like, is he going to like take a bigger part of the workload, which we saw a tiny fraction of, but just when it really came down to it, ETN was the dude. He'll be an interesting one to talk about in the off season.
He's a free agent.
Yeah. Are they going to franchise tag him?
Potentially, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, what they probably should, depending on like how good they are during the playoffs. I was going to say the off season, but yeah. How far do they make it?
I had to see who they play, but to me, the AFC is pretty wide open. Like, I think that, I mean, the playoffs in general are pretty wide open, but like, I think there's questions about all these teams, and anyone can beat anyone, kind of like. honestly, the Chargers are probably the team I'm least confident in, just because you have, to me, you have like a lot of good defenses, a couple elite defenses with the Broncos and Texans, good defenses with like the Patriots, maybe Bills and Jags. Like everyone has a good defense. Chargers have a really good defense themselves, but they don't have the offensive line to protect. That's just my fear there. So it's to me, it's wide open right now. It's looking like the Chargers and Jags potentially meet up in Jacksonville. So, and look how that went last time.
I'm
they blew them out.
I kind of like you do a pretty good job about following up on these. I'm kind of interested to see where the Jags trading up for Travis Hunter, like what that ends up looking like, right? Like it definitely seemed like way too much to move up 3 spots during this last draft. And obviously, Hunter, we lost him for most of the season, but I mean, good on them for, their first this coming year is going to be late-ish, like already.
Yeah.
So
they got so they got the number 5 spot. So they went down from 2 to 5, right? And then they got a 2nd round pick in the draft, which I believe turned into Judkins.
No, I think they gave up their.
Okay, they must.
Sorry, you're talking about from the Browns side, yeah.
Yeah, so the Browns drafted Judkins with that 2nd round pick. So the Browns they swapped. They went from 2 to 5. They got the 36th overall pick. So they took Judkins. They took Dylan Sampson with their extra 4th round pick. So a couple running backs there. They got a 26th first, and then they also gave a 4th up. So we'll see who they draft this year to see how that all turned out and stuff. But a 4th and a 6th they also drafted or traded. Yeah, it's going to be ETN, I think. I'm just looking at ETN's numbers. Like he had a bit of a down. He had a 3-week stretch there in the middle of the season, 5 to 7. That he was not good under 10 PPR points in all 3 of those games. But other than that, he was awesome. Javonte didn't really have a down stretch at all. He had his down games kind of came spread out throughout the year. He had basically 3 games. Yeah, 3 games under double-digit points. So, yeah, I mean, both those guys were awesome, man. And I know we liked both of them as well. So, but yeah, any like kind of lessons learned? I was thinking a lot about rookies, and I feel like as Dynasty becomes more kind of in the more people play Dynasty, they start to bring that into redraft a little bit more, and so rookies start to perform well. Also, rookies performing well over the last, Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, Puka Nacua, these guys, that are kind of Herbert and Bo Nix and stuff, BTJ. Yeah, like, we've been getting a lot more, it feels like, but I feel like we need to pump the brakes on rookies a little bit. So I know we want to do a quick 1st round mock as well, but any like, I went back and looked, there's 76 1st round rookies taken since 2015. 1st round fantasy, quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end. 76 1st round rookies taken since 2015. 18 of them have averaged over 14 PPR points. So 18 of the 76, right? So not a huge. That's under 25% of 1st round rookies essentially don't perform. There's been 173 1st and 2nd round rookies. Only 26 have averaged over 14 points. So basically adding 100 more rookies from the 2nd round over the last 10 years or so, but we're only adding 8 more of those have produced. So I just feel like we need to pump the brakes a little bit. There's no world in which we should have been taking Genty over like Derrick Henry, which happened a lot, Chan, guys like that, in my opinion. Like, I'm not saying rookies don't have a place. We just got to be careful, I think, with them. But yeah, any other kind of lessons learned? And
it's hard with HN and Henry specifically, right? Because Derrick Henry with the the age, but still on the Ravens, like you just knew as long as he stayed healthy, which he seemingly always does, he will never fall. No. We've been waiting for Derrick Henry to fall off a cliff for 4 years now.
Yeah.
And the dude's a monster. And Achane had the preseason injury. So, like,
I remember the team saying it wasn't that serious, but it's always hard to know if a team's lying.
you never
They said that about
those fucking
McCaffrey.
guys. What's the isn't there? It's like Coach Speak Index or whatever,
Yeah.
so like where you can actually look up to see like how reliable like certain coaches are with what they say, or the team in general. It's like, oh yeah, because like it's never that bad, or it's this guy's going to be a big part of the offense, or it's like, yeah, why wouldn't you say that about the guys you just drafted? Like you got to pump them up, but also you don't necessarily want anyone really knowing what you're up to anyways.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, like I said, they said the same thing about CMC last year. Like, oh, if it was a playoff game, he would be here or something like that. Like,
yeah,
the entire season. Like, all right, we want to do a, did I just get rid of it? A quick little first round mock for 2026. PPR, we'll do PPR because I think most people play PPR. I'll just kind of, you can tell me who you want to take. Do you want odds or evens, or don't care?
See if I don't think I care.
Make it a little bit bigger. Okay, I'll take odds then. I mean, to me, I think it's Bijan is the 101. Hendon Hooker. Wow, these rankings are all crazy. Like, what's going on here? Hendon Hooker is like number 1 overall. Like, what the hell?
Are these like? I was gonna say, are these available players? Yeah, no, that shit is crazy. Yeah. So I mean, that kind of goes back to when who was it, Kevin, talking about startups right now and things like that. Like, definitely go in with your own list, especially now. And you have long clocks and everything. What the hell is that?
I don't even know. He's 34 years old though. The hell? Right. So yeah, you agree Bijan 101 pretty easy for you, or?
I don't mind it. I think there's a good argument for the first 5 or 6 guys that are probably going to go. Recency bias and everything, and I'm gonna go back to Ja'Marr Chase.
Yeah,
not recency bias with him, sorry, but I just meant like a full season of Herbert would be awesome. Still got 1,300 yards, 175 targets. We just know he is the dude. Hopefully better quality targets this coming season if Burrow stays healthy for the entirety of it. And we just know he can give you those blow up, multi-touchdown, 200-yard games.
Nothing's really changed with Chase. He just didn't get touchdowns this year. 7. I mean, 7's fine, but like, he's capable of 17 like last year. So, wait, Ja'Marr Chase had the Triple Crown last year?
He did.
Led the
I
league
think so.
I think I missed that. I can't argue it. I think I'm still gonna go Jahmyr Gibbs, and I'm valuing a little bit of like these workhorse running backs because they're so hard to find. Whereas I do think you can find receivers that break out or whatever like later on. You can also find running backs, but I just feel like these workhorse running backs, man. I think we've gone back. That's how fantasy used to be. It changed there for a while. It feels like it's heading back to that a little bit here. So I just think there could be. I predicted it this year. Like, do we see less of David Montgomery? Is this the year we finally see a new coordinator? Gibbs is obviously like maybe the best player, non-quarterback in the NFL or offensive player in the NFL. Like he's in the argument at the very least. And we did see that. Do we see even less of David Montgomery next year? So I think we could see a Gibbs, Chris Johnson, 2,000-yard type of season coming up here. So I'm still going to go Gibbs. What do you got next?
You say Chris Johnson?
Yeah, Chris Johnson, 2009. I compare Gibbs to Chris Johnson. I know you weren't
Okay.
playing fantasy at that time, but he's like a smaller running back, but super fast. And he rushed for 2,000 yards in 2009. He has the single season yards from scrimmage record, like 2,500 or something. So I always just compare Gibbs to him. Where are you at with the 104?
Patrick Mahomes. No, I'm just kidding. Sorry, Mahomes. He's gonna miss a bit. I got to go back to CMC. Like this is kind of where he should have been going this season. Obviously the Niners are firing on all cylinders, so he's going to play into the offseason probably more than just these next couple of weeks. Sorry, I keep saying off-season because it's off-season for fantasy, but you know what I mean, into the playoffs. Like he's got a tough game this week and potentially for the next few weeks against playoff caliber teams. Lots of carries, all that stuff, but he's just too good not to take at in the first round, obviously. Like I think that's pretty obvious to everyone, but I'm going to take him kind of along those same lines as what you were saying with Gibbs. These workhorse running backs, like maybe we should be reverting back to these guys a little bit.
Would you throw all these guys in the same tier, or would you have them in different tiers? Or because my next pick is going to be Puka. Like, would you have these top 5 guys here all in the same tier, roughly?
And I think honestly, it kind of goes beyond that a little bit.
Okay. So my question I'm getting at here, I guess, is there is going to be concerns with the workload for McCaffrey. So does that just tend to, hey, it's the first round, I want to minimize risk as much as possible? Maybe McCaffrey should be at the end of this tier, or are you just not really worried about it when it comes to him because he catches so many passes?
Yeah, I mean, he's like, I don't have the numbers in front of me. Like for like what, like if you just took his production in the passing game, like what wide receiver is he? Like.
Yeah, I mean, he's close to 100. He's going to have 100 catches. He has a chance to have 1,000 yards and 7 receiving touchdowns. So,
so that's like AJ Brown on top of like running production. Like, so I don't know. I don't think about it too hard, especially like, I mean, you're only going to have one of these picks. So, I mean, I could definitely see you taking Puka over him, or even JSN, who will be like the next pick for me.
Okay,
where it's like, yeah, like you can make the argument. Oh, Hendon Hooker, no,
it's ridiculous.
What team is he on now?
He's on the Jets, apparently.
Oh, well, he could be the starting quarterback for the Jets. Maybe he'll be really good.
Yeah.
Pick him up in Dynasty, everybody.
I actually didn't mind him as a prospect, but he had some injuries as well.
Yeah, we didn't know how good Goff was going to be. I mean, not that we didn't know he was going to be good, but yeah, we didn't know how good the Lions were going to be when they drafted him. But yeah, JSN, next pick. I feel like there's maybe 3 more guys that are kind of, I wouldn't mind. God, this first round just looks loaded. How could it possibly go wrong?
I know, right? It does feel loaded. I think I would cut off the tier soon. Like, I think I would make the argument for the top 2 guys. I'm probably taking, like, I don't see myself taking McCaffrey over Bijan almost ever at like the 101, just because like a little bit of like baked into, the load issue for McCaffrey is a little bit older. So like, I feel like I might cut it off at the first 2, maybe 3. But I don't know. It's hard to know for sure right now, but I'm going to go Achane next. I don't know if that's anyone you were.
Yep. He's right up there. He's definitely kind of in this giant first tier, and like, like Bijan over McCaffrey and Gibbs is kind of the same thing, where more Bijan Sorry, there's like someone banging on my door. It's probably our mother downstairs. But Bijan, like the Falcons were hoping to be like a better offense than they were this year. McCaffrey was obviously on a very productive offense, like even without their starting quarterback for a good chunk of the season. So Bijan, excuse me, we feel like can only get a little better, I would say.
Yeah.
And plus the youth says a lot for sure. Over McCaffrey, so I totally get that. But yeah,
imagine Bijan on a good offense. The guy he's going to put up over probably 2,400, close to 2,400 total yards. 11 touchdowns though. Like he has 17 touchdowns. We're talking about one of the best seasons ever. 76 catches. So yeah, I do think Bijan and Chase are kind of in their own tier. And then the tier 2 starts with all these other guys. That's kind of my early feeling here. Who you got after HN? I think there's some interesting ones.
Yeah, I know. There is a couple. I gotta take Amon-Ra St. Brown. He's kind of like when I started to say like, oh, maybe one more guy, 2 more, 3 more guys. Like he's definitely. Who the hell is that?
This is a kid. This is a Key and Peele skit, right? Like Montana, Lamonius Craig. Like what? That's an awesome name.
Yeah, actually put that guy on my team. But yeah, Amon-Ra St. Brown. Like you got to go right back to him. Old reliable. Still. Let's see. Is this? Yep, this is full PPR. He's wide receiver 3 on the season. Like, did he even have a bad game? There's probably like 1 or 2 in there. Oh, well, I guess the one where he got hurt, yeah, that was bad. One, we'll call it 3 games under 10 PPR points. But yeah, just he is like the focal point of that offense. I'm not worried about, well, Laporta was gone and stuff like that. It's like, no. Too many seasons of this dude just being the shit. So he deserves to be right there.
Yeah, I have him as wide receiver 5 in points per game. But if you take out Rice, he's 4. So, yeah.
That is reliability right there. 3rd overall, 4th per game.
Yeah, and like he's literally been that every year since he besides his rookie year where he broke out the last 6 weeks or so, he's literally been like a top 5 guy. He's kind of always underrated. In my opinion. So, yeah, there's definitely a few different ways to go here. I'm still gonna, it's hard right now, like on January 3rd, because we don't know who their quarterback is, but I mean, Jonathan Taylor was awesome. They ran into a tougher schedule. Their quarterbacks, got a broken leg and then eventually missed. Like, I think that was part of it. Like, he's still an absolute workhorse. This team has to figure out what they're going to do at the quarterback position, which makes me a little bit scared here, but I'll give Jonathan Taylor some love at the 109.
Beautiful.
Don't love it. Anyways, who are you taking at the 110?
There's 2 guys that I'm really like. I feel like my 12th pick is going to be the hard one.
Yeah.
Give me CeeDee Lamb.
Yeah, that's kind of who I'd probably. Honestly, if it was a real draft, I might be taking Lamb over JT. But again, depends who the quarterback is. If they have a pretty stable quarterback there, then I don't mind JT. Yeah. Is it Lamb and is it James Cook that you're thinking between? Or
no
Neighbors?
No.
Oh, Justin Jefferson? McBride?
That's where I was kind of struggling. He'll be an interesting one to talk about. Like maybe the script has kind of flipped back to where we were, where, Brock Bowers going mid-second round, or later second round. Like, oh, you can get McBride after him. Like he can easily be better. And that kind of like worked out if you followed that advice. But one of those players were so interesting together because it's like, well, unless you were picking kind of at the end of the second, so you had an early first round pick, you probably didn't have a chance at getting McBride later, kind of a thing. And then you kind of had to like quote unquote reach for him in the third round. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see like where a lot of these experts, these so-called experts, like actually put him. But I just feel like McBride, even with, with Brissett, or I'm not too worried about like if it's Kyler, because we've seen McBride be awesome even with Kyler. So,
well, you can take McBride because I'm not going to take him here. I kind of want to go. And this may sound crazy. I think there's a lot of guys that can go in these last few spots, and we'll talk about them all. I'm going to give Rashee Rice some love here. Like the dude was awesome with Mahomes. He was literally averaged 18.8 points per game this season. He was wide receiver 4. He averaged half a point less than Jamar Chase. He averaged more than Amon-Ra, more than Pickens, more than like, obviously he didn't play as much, but like, I think Mahomes is going to be back week 1. I do think he's going to be back. I know he, late injury and stuff. I think he's going to be back. Now that changes if he's not back, but I do think he will be back. And like Kelsey potentially gone. Like, I don't know. I think Rashee Rice deserves to be in the conversation. I think a lot of other guys do too. So you want me to are you taking McBride here then?
Yeah, throw him
about
in
these
there.
other guys.
Round it out.
I probably avoid the tight end. I don't mind it, but I'm just always a little bit wary of taking a tight end first round. To me, there's several other guys that belong in this conversation. James Cook belongs in this conversation. Malik Neighbors belongs in this conversation. Justin Jefferson still, which is we talked about like, oh, how is he going? In second round in Superflex. Or I said that in dynasty startups. Well, he's going in the second round in a non-super flex and redraft, and Genty. I think Genty, if they get a quarterback, belongs in the conversation too. That's probably where I stop. Who would you have taken over? Like, obviously you would have taken McBride. Then who would you taken over Rice? Would you have taken Cook, Neighbors, Genty, Jefferson?
I mean, yeah, we're definitely going to learn a lot in this offseason about like what's Mahomes' status and all that stuff. Like he's definitely a guy that I can see going right there as long as it isn't Chris Oludekon.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Let's say Mahomes is there week 1. Like,
yeah,
so would you still take one of those other guys over Rice?
What other guys? The ones you just named, like Justin Jefferson and Neighbors?
Yeah, so I think Cook, Neighbors, Genty, Jefferson, those 4 guys that didn't get drafted here, I wouldn't bat an eye if they got drafted in the first round right now when we stand.
Sure. Yeah, sure. I'd still take Rice over those guys, I think, especially in PPR. Yeah, and we're going to definitely make this argument similar to quarterbacks. It's like, do you take McBride in round 1 or you get George Kittle in round 3, 4, yeah, give me Kittle there just for the value. So I don't know. We'll have to like kind of play this out a little bit. I know this is just, this is our week 18, 2026 mock draft for next year. So a lot of questions to be answered for sure.
Yeah. First quarterback that should be taken. Should it be Josh Allen still?
Yeah.
I'm avoiding May at all costs this year. And not because I don't think May's good. It's just like, I know he can run the ball as well, but like I could see a Herbert. Look at Herbert year 3. Everyone was drafting Herbert as like QB 2 or 3 in fantasy in 2022. And he disappointed greatly because he doesn't run the ball consistently. And Drake May can run the ball. I don't think he consistently runs the ball, though, enough to be drafted, in my opinion, as a top 3 or 4 quarterback. So, yeah, I think there's only one other player that potentially could enter this conversation because we're gonna overhype him. It is Jeremiah Love, rookie, who's potentially a top 10 pick in the NFL draft. And I guarantee you, there's a very good chance. This year's a little bit weird because normally top 10 picks or top 10 teams in the draft are terrible. We have a few teams here that we could easily see be playoff teams, top 10 offenses. Cincinnati is picking 10th overall. Kansas City is picking 9th overall. And Washington's picking 7th overall. All three of those teams, it's very rare for them those are three of the top 10, top 7, top 5 quarterbacks, whatever, definitely Burrow and Mahomes are like top 5, but where does Jaden Daniels fall? Those are 3 elite quarterbacks on teams that normally those teams don't pick in the top 10. And so if Jeremiah Love goes to Washington, if Jeremiah Love goes to Kansas City, he's going to be hyped. He's going to be hyped to be a first-round pick. I mean, hell, we just drafted Genty, and he went to the Raiders. You imagine Jeremiah Love going in the same spot to the Chiefs? Like, holy shit. Like, people are going to freak out, whether it's right or wrong. So, that's really the only rookie I think will enter that conversation here. So, yeah, it's been fun.
Fair enough.
Off season's going to be fun.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the Tankathon right now. It's interesting. I think it's funny how they have like the streak for how many games teams have lost, and it's like green for like the Raiders at the top. Lost 10 is their streak, and it's green. New Orleans is getting downgraded in the Tankathon because they won 4 games. Like, it's pretty funny.
Yeah, I know. It's like, what are you doing? So yeah. Dylan, what do you think about trading picks and redraft? If your league allows it, I don't mind it at all. Like, have fun, man. Like, I think I've always been. It's interesting to hear. Like, I feel like a lot of the things that we've been doing in our home leagues, we're starting to hear them become a little bit more common. Not to say like I invented them, but the league median scoring we've been doing for a while seems like that's becoming a little bit more standardized. Half PPR or half point per first down is getting talked about more. The no matchups in playoffs. I heard Adam on the CBS podcast talking about that. Like, change it up, have fun. Like, we don't need to do the same things all the time. I don't mind pick trading. I don't know how successful it's going to be in kind of non, dynasty players, just because it's a weird concept. It might take a while to kind of get really worth it, but I don't mind it at all. So
yeah, I think one of the things that we did in our startup, even though we did it a little differently than our dynasty startup, like our home one, like how we did it in the listener leagues is probably the better way to do it, but it's including the rookie picks in the startup draft, even after the NFL draft, and to where you could easily just have the rookies in there, but I really like that. We did that 4 years ago, and I actually remember writing into the CBS podcast, and they actually read it on air, where I was like, hey, how do you guys include, like, what's the best way to do this? Do you do 2 drafts for a dynasty startup, or do you include the rookies, or like, how does that all work? And I kind of suggested the whole, like, use kickers as like placeholders for the picks. And I think they were like, nah, just include the rookies. I think it was Keith that kind of went that way. And now you definitely hear that talked about a lot more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, for sure. Drafts are fun, so I always like to do multiple drafts. So I just thought I was reading. I put out a dynasty rookie first round mock draft, and I just read a comment. It was like, Mendoza 101, LOL, next video. And I just think it's funny. It's like, really, the number 1 overall pick wouldn't be in consideration for the 101 in Superflex dynasty rookie drafts? Like, all right, sure. I don't know what people are smoking, but it's funny. But yeah, I don't mind it there, Dylan. Like, have fun with it, change things up. It's fine. People get kind of crazy when you change things, though. So just kind of be aware of that. Your league has to be open to it for sure. But yeah, go Bucks. Any last thoughts?
No, that'll do it.
Go
Who
Bucks.
do you want to win tonight?
Between who?
Isn't it then the
Oh, Niners and Seahawks? I'd like to see the Seahawks win. I picked them in our pool just because I felt like a lot of people were going to be on San Francisco.
Oh shit!
And I think
make our picks.
Yeah, you do. Just because, I feel like most people are going to be on San Francisco, and I think it's a little bit more of a toss-up than it is. Like, I think it's my prediction. It's like 70-30 San Francisco, and I think it should be closer to like 50-50. So that's my reasoning for picking them. But who do you want to win?
I think I do. Probably Seahawks, like, just because they're a little bit more of an underdog coming into the season, and like, the Niners, they've been there.
Yeah.
Give the chickens a little bit of a break. Let them get. Is this for the number 1 seed?
It is.
Yeah.
It is for the number 1 seed. It also potentially determine if the Rams play guys. Sounds like McVay wants to play them, but I think if the Seahawks win, the Rams have nothing to play for. But if the San Francisco wins,
I was going to say they'll play for a quarter, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. So, but yeah, we're going to take off, guys. Appreciate everyone. Dylan, Kevin, Paul, everyone else watching but not commenting. Appreciate you too. Join us all off season. So, and let's get some listener leagues going. So appreciate you all, and we'll see you all in the next video.